That could be. But would you welcome Miss Linda and Dr. Tonya here to Mississippi tonight? I know that you were here today, and I've watched some of your videos. I know this morning you were out with Sister Elaine out here on the in front of the church, greeting everybody. Not too late for church on Sunday. We've not rehearsed any of this. They don't have questions. There's none of that going on. I was at two churches this morning. One giving the 50th anniversary recognition to the church. Another one handling some business for the overseer. Went home for a few minutes, took my tie off, put on his shirt, and came straight here. So we've not had any time to talk. But let me just ask you, not getting into the project, but how did you two get together with ministry?
That's a good question. I usually try and share that, especially with settings like this and evening services, to get to know us a little better. For 25 years, prior to this, almost 18 years I've been in Kenya. Say no, Linda, you're not that old. No. Thank you. I worked in Christian television, and we always wanted to interview people that did amazing things. And so I knew Tonya for about those years, amount of years, not as we're friends, we're going out to lunch, just as this doctor. I would try to make feel comfortable, mic her up. So I was going to be, okay, doctor, this will only hurt a minute, trying to make her comfortable. She went all over the world, do disaster relief. President George Bush gave her a Humanitarian Year Award. All the things, our state Doctor of the Year a couple years ago. So she's been a lot of places, done a lot of things. So we wanted to naturally hear her stories. One day I'd come back from a mission trip, and she was going to be on one of the shows. And I said, Doctor, I'll go with you one day. And I guess too many people had said that one too many times to her. I already knew God had called me. I knew it was coming. I didn't know it would be, I thought it would be an age, honestly. And she said, okay, meet me for lunch Friday. I said, ooh. It's not actually what I said, but ooh. I said, okay. So I met her for lunch Friday. 2 months later, I was in Kenya documenting the opening of Farnell Hospital. And 18 years later, yeah.
How does this start with you? Where does the journey begin with you, with missions?
So I went into medicine to be a missionary. I had no other plan B. I wanted to be a missionary, and I wanted to be a missionary doctor. So it's been, most of my life. And so that's
a few years.
On Medicare this year. She's so excited. Tell her.
Do you get to go to Medicare this year? Okay, good.
So y'all know, I'm very proud of that, but I have achieved. So no, my whole purpose and desire since I was a little girl was to serve God. And I...
Tell them before you went to medical school.
Oh, well, before I went
I'm
to
doing the
medical
interview,
school,
sorry.
I went to Bible college, so I have a degree in missions. And then I went on to medical school because I needed to know that I could serve God. Because doctors typically don't want to give up that nice little paycheck that they get at the end of the month. And, when you're making 6 figures a year, it's kind of hard to go from 6 figures to down to 1/5 of that. When you're just making this, we'd say kidogo, a kitioling, not many people are doing that. Well, I never went into it for the money. I went into it to glorify God and use my skills in the world. So that's my story, basically.
And when you went into it, did immediately you go to Kenya, or
No,
you were all over the world? Right?
Yes, I spent a lot of years traveling. I told them this morning I was in practically every disaster. I was in the wars. I was some of the first people into Afghanistan right after 9/11. I worked in a lot of really cool places, and I had to hide a lot. They had to hide me a lot, but when you're sitting in Afghanistan and guys come walking in, they have AK-47s, and you don't know if they're Taliban or you don't know if they're part of the changeover of the new regime, and you didn't really ask a whole lot of questions. You just took care of them. Well, yeah, you smiled.
It's not a way, we just hope that we keep on going.
You need Jesus.
That's
You
right.
need Jesus.
Now, the connection that got you to Kenya, how did that, from Afghanistan and all these places, how did that come about?
So, some of you heard this morning that I fell into a squatty potty
An outhouse. She fell in an outhouse.
in Liberia, and I
Let him think about that a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm hearing this, so I'm thinking we're raising this money because
She
at one
fell
point
into an
you
outhouse.
fell. That would be the best way to start these videos off.
The floor disintegrated.
Just like that.
You got the floor disintegrated. There's the picture you were looking for.
There you go. Think about it. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. But I had broke my foot in a couple places, and I was still doing ministry, and I took a little bit of time off just because I had to. And God said, I want you to start, I want you to change now. I want you to build something that is long-lasting. You've been all over the world, and you're really good at this, but now I want you to plant something that would be a little bit more long-term and partner in people's health for a long-term. So that's how I ended up in Kenya. We ended up in the middle of nowhere with no electricity, no running water. No roads. There were 5 structures. Now, the pictures you may have seen, there were only 5 structures, and all of them were made of mud and cow poop when we went there. Yeah. Now it's a thriving city, and there's water and education and healthcare and whole system. So that's kind of how we got there.
And thinking, because you've been doing this, for quite some time, even in the last few years, from what I have heard and what others have told me, there's been a lot of challenges that have come along the way. Not just with funds, but also with the influx of people and what you're trying to accomplish, and what is happening to the children that you're ministering to if we don't get them off the streets. And that's what's really tugged at, and I hate to say tugged at people's heartstrings, but it really has. When I go to places and I talk about that. So maybe you can share a little bit more in depth, and even for me to get a little bit more information on that.
I would like this sweet young girl, yes, you, to stand up for a second. I want you to tell everybody how old you are. She's 12. Okay, thank you, honey. I just needed a visual. I want you to see that. So in our culture, with the Maasai people where we live, when a young girl is about to come into her womanhood, between 11, 12, 13 years old, now look at that sweet face. She is given to a man. She is sold for cows. She is sold just because women are possessions. She's not a woman, she's a little girl. And they give them to these men. Matter of fact, Bishop, a few months ago there was a video that was shot in a town near us. And it was a father, a mother, and a whole bunch of family members. And this little girl was only about 13 years old. And she is screaming and crying at the top of her lungs, please don't do this to me, please don't do this to me. And they have sold her, they were beating her, and the father, how many of you are fathers in here? The father looked at the man she was given to, and he said, I don't care what you do with her. You can cut her head off. I don't care. Because he got the cows for her. Now think about your children and your grandchildren and your granddaughters. Think about our sweetness over here being a wife at 12 years old. That's one of the challenges that we have. And then there's some other physical things that they do to young girls. They circumcise young girls. And those of you that don't know about it, you can ask us afterwards. But it is a brutal, brutal thing that they do to young girls. And so we have been working on that for 21 years in our community, and that's why we have the Linda's Kids Academy, so that our young girls can come to school. They come to school, their parents enter an agreement with us that they will not circumcise them, nor will they sell them. So we went from 47 kids 10 years ago, 11 years ago,
11.
to 311 kids today.
Now, we told you guys about the need for the boarding, because now our young ladies becoming young women, and on these breaks, on these Christmas holidays, on these school break holidays, they're going home, and the young ladies don't know, even though I preach all the time, no, repeat this after me, no, repeat this after me, no. They're not allowed to tell men, boys, or men, no. So
They're not allowed to say no.
They're not allowed to say no. So now what's happened is I have, it's hard for me to say, I have 3 young ladies that have had babies from my school, this age, because they couldn't say no. So that's why we're doing the dormitories. I never wanted dormitories because I thought I'd have to hurt some people. And now I'm at that place now, I'm going to have to hurt some people. Some bush justice is going to happen. Y'all want to sign up for a trip?
We have volunteers back there already.
You know, it's hard for us in Western culture to imagine these things. We live in our, I hate to say it, we live in our bubble world. We can look on, whatever news channel you watch, and you can see the news or whatever point of view you want to see it. But we think, well, we're saved right here. And then we look at it and we think, that we hear these stories, but we see videos, but we really never meet the people that are on the feet on the street, so to speak, that are on the ground. And you cannot put into your imagination what someone is going through, especially when you paint the picture. So most of you know I have 6 children, and I have a 10-year-old girl still at home. My oldest 2 daughters are grown, and we have our grandchildren because of them, and so thankful for them. But I mean, Hattie is 10, and she's the last girl at home. So I mean, I would do anything for her. I mean, anything at all. And to imagine a father just willingly saying, "I'm done. I don't care," that breaks my heart.
David, that's my
And not for the grace of God, it could be Hattie. It could be one of your children. You could be in that same situation, born into that area. Praise the Lord that you're not, because of God's faithfulness and His grace, that you're in America. And as bad as it looks like sometimes here, we got it really good. We've got it really good, and we're really thankful for that. But we can use what we've been blessed with to be able to help those that are truly the last, the least, the lost. Not trying to be cliche with Church of God World Missions, but that really is what it's all about. Now, for these 3 young ladies that have gotten pregnant, with the dormitory set up, do they come back in now and with their children?
As soon as God allows and the funds are complete, the buildings are, would you say 3/4?
Do you have the pictures?
We might have a picture of them.
Maybe not. They didn't come.
They didn't come through.
I'm very, very sorry. No, that's okay.
We have about, stop me on Facebook, you can see a lot of stuff there. It's about 3/4 done on the boys' end, because we're going to have boys' dorms also. I got to tell you, I'm a proud mama moment. In our region, in our catchment area, our school is just now old enough to start testing for the higher levels of school and the governmental testing. We tested for the first time this year, and out of 1,300 schools in our area, my school came in number 3. And one of my boys, has been with me since he was 4 years old. He was number one in all of the areas. I really have to respect him as a resident. I really do truly believe that. So yes, young men also, but they're separate, quite a distance apart, and a mean mama to guard between. But they're about 3/4. They're up to the roof now. They call the lintels up to the roof now. So we're getting.
She was showing me some pictures earlier, and what we'll do, we'll take some of those and some on Facebook, share it on our state social media and all of that for everybody to be able to see. And when I've been out at churches, I've counted up for the dawn today. I think I've been at 67 pulpits since I've been here, which is a good number. In the last 19 months or 20 months, ever how long it's been. And since this project started in August, every chance I get, I talk about it. I've talked about how the project has been moving on, progressing by faith,
We don't-
believing that the funds are going to come in.
We know what God's asked us to, and Bishop, you don't know this about us, but we're an organization, the two of us, all these years, our organization has never been in the red. We don't do it if we don't have it, because that's misuse of God's money. And what does it say to the people we're trying to impact as well? But we have faith in it too, so the small funds that we do have, we've started. We put into, and we know that God is going to complete and meet those needs.
Now, the project is multifaceted because we've got Linda's Kids Academy.
Health, hope, and education.
And New Frontiers. Now, with New Frontiers, tell me exactly what you do with that.
So the project itself, like you said, is education, health, hope, and education. So the health portion of it, we have a hospital that we started in one room. It is now full on. I deliver babies. We don't do surgery. That's the only thing I don't do.
Yes.
But we do everything birth to death. Stop. Anyway, stop. Tired. But with this year, it's so exciting because we began to talk about this nursing college about 2 years ago. How do you leave legacy for people? You invest in their education. That's how you leave legacy. I mean, I'm going to die, and I'll be happy to do that. When the time comes, I'll be very happy.
When the time comes.
When the time comes.
It's nice to be
No, I'm
with
not
you.
dying right now, but you said
Yes, oh, let me check. All right, yeah.
I'm still alive. But what is going to go on beyond us? I'm not doing it for here and now. I'm doing it for kingdom purposes.
Like you said a few minutes ago, we're not good at failing.
No,
Failing the kingdom.
and we're not good at building our own kingdom.
No.
No. Let's stay away from that. But anyway, when we began to talk to YWEA and Bishop Brian, we proposed. Now this is, I don't know if you knew about this. Shh, we're not live streaming, are we? Okay, no, I don't care. I don't keep a lot of stuff secret anyway, so, except if you tell me something personal, then I'll keep that very secret. But anyway, so we said, why don't we do this? We're ready, we're poised, we've put the work in. If you guys want to do this project, why don't you just start sending us the money as you raise it? Now that's not been done. Historically, that's not been done because they need a year to raise the project, and then it's about another year before something happens. By the time,
No, I'm agreeing.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
By the time they got on the ground, we had these discussions in July and August. By September, the walls are going up, and I wish you could see the picture right now because the nursing college is the building structure itself is about 90% done. And that's because people have gotten along on the vision and said, you know what? You ladies are doing it. You're not just saying you're going to do it. You really are doing it. We really said we're going to do it, regardless of who comes along, because this is mandated by God. So the hospital leaving this legacy now, these young people can come and they can have training and they can feed their families and they can, I mean, come on, that is just beyond exciting. Then the other thing, the third component of it is hope. Now, Linda and I, if we don't have enough jobs, this is our last job. It's not a job, it's hard, well, some days being a pastor is a job, so, but, somebody said yay and amen, I heard that. But anyway, we co-pastor the only, now get this, the only Church of God, Maasai Church in all of Kenya. We pastor it. Now that, beyond itself, because I'm really only worth about 12 cows at 65, so now that's pretty good. Now Linda would get a few more cows, but I'm only going to get about 12 because they're ready to put me out in pasture.
She's tried, by the way, she's tried.
But if somebody offered me a lot of cows for Linda, I'd sell her.
If I'm not missing,
Just count it up.
cow cows.
shepherd a group of people. But imagine shepherding a group of people that totally are cross-cultural. What do you do with this, Bishop, when people walk in and they have 2, 3, 4 wives?
Oh, I just tell them, pick one.
No, pick one.
No, we love them all.
I love them all, but seriously, they get up there. Just a couple Sundays ago, we were preaching, and the guy got up there to do a testimony, and he was talking about how good his 2 wives were. You know, and you're sitting there, and you're kind of wrestling with some of that stuff, you know, because, or somebody talks about their child bride and things like that, but, you know.
We don't go through the General Assembly minutes with that. We make sure that we don't tell the practical commitments, but Don, do we? We don't tell that to them.
But every week, somebody's coming to the Lord. Every week, somebody is coming to the Lord. The lives of
Just a little bit more change. It seems funny that we say we have old men in our church now. That's a big thing. We have old men in our church. We have a group of them that sit, I can see them they sit right behind me, which I think I'm technically on the wrong side of the church, but okay. They're technically right with me, meaning they have left their cattle. They're telling the other people that they must come to church. And they're in church, and they walk for miles and miles and miles to get there every Sunday. It's just amazing what God's doing. Revival is coming to our community. And get this, a Baptist church built these Pentecostal girls a bigger auditorium. And we're not far from outgrowing that church. Yeah.
Now, the way the project funds, they're being split between everything. Correct?
Yes, right.
To do that. And like with the church building, if that comes to that point, I know it was, for that it was some updated technology.
Yes, you know, because our young people have cell phones, you know, and they want to be able to see stuff like this, you know, and they want to see videos, and they want to see that kind of stuff. So if you're going to skip a generation, you're going to be in trouble. So we can't do that.
And it's just so everybody can kind of picture it. And again, I haven't been able to be there, but everything is pretty much self-contained within its own community. Is that correct?
Yes and no. We're in 2 different villages. It's all the same catchment area, but the hospital and the nursing college are combined together, and we're about 7 kilometers, let's say 5 miles, to the school, because we built the school where it was because no kids would have ever had any education in that area. We started our church there, planted a little church. They didn't have a church either, so we started preaching under a little tree. And it just started, Mama started coming, and we started growing, so we built a little tiny church. It was now a school office, and that's when I saw our little girls in the church, and knowing what was happening, I said, not my church girls. So that's how the school started.
And the dormitories are with the school.
Yes. Yeah. Church and the school, elementary, high school, and the dorms are the same.
And with the entire program, I mean, now you've really got it set up from birth.
Yes.
Through college.
Yes.
And I would, is it safe to assume that if someone, if they get to that point and they've been through the program the entire way, where do they go after that? They went through nursing school. Do they run it out?
Oh, there's lots of jobs for nurses, especially ones that go through a Hawthorne Institute of Nursing.
Yeah.
She doesn't play. But also, we started this year, and it sounds silly, we can laugh and giggle, but they all shave their heads. So in school, starting next month, we're starting a vocational barbershop.
Okay.
So those that are not level enough to go nursing,
There's something.
there's something for them, but they have a garage,
Right.
and they start working on cars, and those type, maybe a sewing machine, start girls learning how to sew, you know.
And for those, for like the three young ladies that have children.
Yes.
Now, as you've got more
See me smiling?
boys coming in the program.
I beat them. I beat them. I line them up every day at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I beat them. Hard to I should say.
Right. Yeah.
I do. But I'm smiling because those young ladies, they've delivered their babies. One of them was born on my birthday, so it's little Charlene, named after me. All 3 of those young ladies are back in school. So we talk to their parents, and we plead with them, and the moms usually take care of the babies during the day. Some will walk a load more than moms can feed, because there's not pumps and formulas and those things. So we do the best we can, but my goal is to have those girls educated so they can still provide for their families.
And that really is I'm looking at it from the 10,000 foot view. It's really about not just changing one life, but
Right.
changing a
Generation.
culture, a generation.
Yeah.
Right? When you've got this entire program of ministry, it's very crude to say this, but it's kind of what we look at, in the youth department, like with youth camp. You start with them at 4 or 5 years old in youth
Yeah.
camp, and they start coming to camp, and they go to camp, and if they're like me and like Candy was, you go to camp, and then from camp you go to Lee University.
That's right.
And then you still think it's at camp, and then you flunk out the first semester because you don't go to class because it's youth camp. And then in your 40s you go back and you get a degree, and then you're all good. But by doing this, the entire program, you're changing that generation, and it's really changing that mindset.
It is.
Because it's so ingrained, right, in the
Mama
culture.
did it, grandma did it, great-grandma did it. That's the mindset even of the adults coming to church. That's what we're trying to make a shift. We don't change your culture. That's not what we're called to do. But education, as far as godly education and health, and that we do want to change.
And when it comes to the church services, and we saw videos of that, but just describe those. I mean, is it what we have here? Is it much more? I'm going to say it's probably
It's air conditioned.
a little more freedom with worship. I'm very excited.
There's no flies, and there's no kids running everywhere. No, and everybody's not hot and sweaty and dancing. No, that never takes place.
But the freedom in the worship
Yeah. It's genuine.
is genuine.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Because it's a group of people that have gone through something, or are still going through
Still
something.
going through it. It's legal for the men to beat their wives there, by the way, as well. So they're coming in with that. Yeah.
I mean, it just breaks my heart thinking again that there is a culture, that there is an area that, and I know there's multiple classes, but you really don't have a chance and opportunity to interact with someone that sees it on a daily basis.
But let it break your heart. I'm going to tell you, let it break your heart tonight, just a little bit, so that you, as Pastor said, let go of your wallets. And I say that in the nicest possible way as a missionary. I say that in the nicest possible way because you sit and you Bishop, you're saying it breaks your heart. Well, does it break your heart? Does it move you to know that there's a whole people group that are hungry for God? They're not poor people. I want you to know that. They are not poor in spirit. They're brilliant, and they're creative, and when they get it in God, they take it and they run with it. I wish we would run with it. I wish we would say that it's not comfortable in our pews, and it's not comfortable in our churches, and it's not comfortable in our lives, and it's not comfortable in our jobs, because our hearts are breaking with what breaks God's heart. And that's a lack of knowledge. People perish without that knowledge. And that's all we're doing. Seriously. Doesn't matter if we didn't have a bathroom for 18 years. Doesn't matter if we didn't have electricity. Doesn't matter if you don't have internet. Doesn't matter if they look at us and think, ooh, how many cows can I get for her? It doesn't matter.
You don't have enough cows.
I know I don't. I told you I'm old. But what matters is that when we looked and we saw, I'm not going to be responsible when I stand before the Lord. I promise you, I'm not going to be responsible.
Come on.
When God says, I gave you this much, what did you do with it? I'm not. I'm going to say my hands were open and I let it flow through as much as you wanted, God, as much as you, and believe me, we have made sacrifices in our lives. We're both single women. That's not what we thought we'd be all of our lives. I thought I'd be be married and have children and grandchildren, like all of you talk about your grandchildren. Well, that's different for her, but we thought, you thought you'd have a house. You don't have a house. You thought you'd have security. You don't have security. But what I do have is that knowledge that there was no plan B.
That's right.
There was no plan B. And that I can name children after child after child. I can name them. And I know where they are today, and I know where they're going tomorrow. That's
I don't want to hold everybody a long time tonight, and we're going to fellowship afterwards and over to the gym. I know that any questions they'd love to come up and talk to you about it, and you'd be all for that. Is there anything else, Ms. Linda, Tonya, that you could share, just kind of as we wrap this up? Just, I know we talked about the giving aspect and all that, but maybe just maybe one more story.
Oh, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
that story.
Yeah. No.
We got time for two stories. One story or two.
It's a combined story,
It
but
is a combined story. So I got called up to the clinic one day. It's not the same story from this morning, so I'll listen up. I got called up to the clinic, and when they call a doctor stat, that means you have to go right then. By the way, I am a board-certified family practice doctor, so I really do this stuff. But I got called up there stat. We found out that a young man had been stung by a bee and he was having an allergic reaction to it. And when we walked in the room, he was gasping for air because he was in anaphylactic shock. We could not find our EpiPen anywhere.
it's not something that we...
It's not something you can get. You can't go down and buy an
Actually,
EpiPen.
we carry them for us to have as emergency.
So we found it, my staff found it, but they didn't know how to use it because they had never seen anything like it. I grab it. This young man that is laying there, he goes, I stab it in his leg and he goes, and that's it. Now Linda's over there being Pentecostal. She is just praying fire down from heaven. I'm over there as a doctor like he's dead. He's dead.
No response.
30 seconds go by.
That's a long time.
Then it goes by. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's died. Everything, our medicine didn't do anything. And about 35, 40, right at the minute mark, all of a sudden he sits straight up and he goes, like this. Now, I'm promising you that black people do sometimes turn white. Because our staff, no, I'm just being honest, it freaked our staff out because he was dead. We're like, okay, he's alive, this is exciting. Linda goes over and prays for him. He prays. Half hour later, he walks out of our clinic.
Walks out of our clinic. Did you hear?
Walks a couple of kilometers home. He's fine. A week later, we're sitting in church, and this young man says, I need to testify. And I looked over at Linda and I said, Linda, do we know him? He looks familiar. Okay.
I said, yes, he should look familiar.
He did look familiar, They think all of us white people look the same. We think they all look the same. And I said, He stood up and he said, my name is Nixon. He said, I was dead, but I'm alive. And I looked over there and he said, wait.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't understand. He said, I was physically dead, and now I'm alive in Jesus. People ask us why we want to be missionaries and why we keep doing this. It's for the Nixons, it's for the James, like I shared this morning. It's for pink panties that go on the cow's horns through the
African
village, it's for people peeking in our windows to see if really what we're wearing underneath is the same as theirs. It's for all of that.
And if you didn't understand what she said in that story with Nixon, after he is alive and everything is checked out with him, I was able to lead him to the Lord. Yeah. I had to clear that.
They have found out over these years, because we keep showing up, and because we keep doing it. We weren't run away by the hard stuff, and we're still not run away by the hard stuff. And believe me, it is hard. Some days it's really, really hard.
Because we did quit once for 20 minutes.
We did. And that is only because our church, someone tried to take over our church, and they were going to take us out and stone us. Yeah, pastors, if you haven't had that happen in your churches, hey, you don't know what church conflict is until your congregation has to take you out and stone you.
There's a couple of rough churches in this city, I'll tell you that right now. They haven't tried to stone them yet. They might have hung them, but I haven't stoned them yet, so they got close. So
Can we go there?
we prevented it, so we tried to prevent it.
But it's about, as men and women of God, as young people, I just want to encourage the young people, these beautiful young girls. I see some younger people sitting here today. With YWEA, my heart is let's invest in them. Let's empower them. And then let's release them. And make it good and easy for them.
Yes.
Make it easy for them to transition into this life of ministry, into this life of service, even though it's hard. It's the best job, as Linda says, that we've ever had. It is the greatest reward you can ever have. When you stand before the Lord and He says, well done, good and faithful servant.
I say this a lot too, and I know we're short on time, but I'm glad He trusts me, and I'm glad He picked me.
Amen.
Amen. Would you let them know you appreciate that so much?